My fiancée mocked my house during her bridal shower, so I took back the ring, canceled everything, and let her explain her new homeless status. I'm a 30-year-old guy, and for a long time, I truly believed I'd found someone who loved me exactly as I was. Her name is Emily. She came from money, like the kind of money where her family has a summer home and a winter yacht. I was never intimidated by it because she never made me feel like I had to compete. In fact, she used to say things like, "I love how grounded you are," or "You're the calm in all my chaos," and I believed her. I live in the house my grandfather left me. It's nothing flashy. 3 bedrooms, old brick siding, creaky wood floors, but it has soul. I've spent years slowly restoring it. I stripped wallpaper by hand, refinished the kitchen cabinets, built the porch swing myself. Every corner has a story. Every upgrade was earned. She used to sit beside me on that swing, holding coffee in both hands, whispering, "It's so peaceful here." So when she moved in, I thought it meant she saw a future here, that she was choosing us, not just the idea of a wedding ring. We got engaged in early spring, beneath the oak tree out back. I had tied the ring box to our dog's collar. Cheesy, I know, but she cried. Said it was perfect. I remember feeling like the luckiest guy in the world. She hugged me so tightly, I didn't even notice her glance past me toward the chipped paint on the window trim. For 3 years, I poured love into our life, into that house, into her. I thought we were building something honest, but I was wrong. Because months later, in a room full of people who were supposed to celebrate our love, she'd humiliate me in a way I'll never forget. It started small, little comments I brushed off, like static in the background of a love song. One day, Emily came home from a wedding dress fitting and sighed, "I wish we had a walk-in closet." The girls said, "Mine looks like a glorified pantry." I laughed, tried to joke, tell them it holds way more love than shoes. But she didn't smile. She just rolled her eyes and walked off, muttering something about how I'd never get it. At first, I chalked it up to wedding stress. Planning was getting intense. Venue hunting, cake tastings, managing 2 very different families. I tried to be the calm one, the rock. But with every decision, I noticed she started deferring to her mother more than me. "Mom says we should do ivory, not white," or "Mom thinks the guest list is too small for a real wedding." The words "Mom says" became more common than "we decided," and then came the comments about the house. "Can we get ready at a hotel instead? It'll look better in the photos." "Your backyard is cute, but it's not exactly Pinterest-worthy." "This kitchen lighting makes my skin look dead." I'd be lying if I said it didn't sting. That house had become part of my identity. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. It was ours. Or, at least, I thought it was. She started hosting more bridal events away from home. When I offered to help or attend, she'd say, "You don't have to come. It's just girls being silly." But I couldn't shake the feeling she didn't want me seen, or worse, didn't want where I lived seen. I started wondering, was she marrying me or just the idea of getting married? Still, I kept my mouth shut, not realizing I was already becoming a background character in my own relationship. The bridal shower wasn't even supposed to be a big deal. Emily's mom rented out a fancy estate house on the outskirts of town, something straight out of a lifestyle magazine. White stone pillars, floor-to-ceiling windows, a staircase so wide it made you whisper. It was the kind of place where people don't eat, just pose with champagne flutes. I wasn't invited, of course. "It's just girls," she said with a quick kiss on the cheek. But she did ask me to drop off a few custom gift boxes she'd forgotten at home. Lavender candles, silk robes, tiny bottles of rosé with gold straws. I didn't mind helping. until I got there. The moment I walked through the side entrance, the air felt thick with judgment. Her bridesmaids, most of whom I barely knew, went quiet when they saw me. One of them, a tall blonde in heels that probably cost more than my mortgage payment, looked me up and down and whispered, "He brought the boxes himself." Another snorted. I forced a polite smile, handed the bags to a planner, and caught a glimpse of Emily across the room. She was laughing, shoulders back, surrounded by people who looked nothing like the world we'd built. She didn't wave, didn't even nod. As I walked back out to my truck, something in me shifted. I felt misplaced, like a prop in someone else's fantasy. I sat behind the wheel for a minute, gripping the steering wheel, trying to shake the unease. Still, I told myself I was overthinking it, that this was just a silly party, that she still loved me even if her world looked shinier than mine. That night, I scrolled through Instagram and saw the first few clips from the party. It wasn't until one of them hit TikTok that everything finally shattered. It was around midnight when my phone buzzed. I was lying in bed, dog curled at my feet, half asleep, when my cousin sent me a link. "Dude, is this Emily?" No context, just a TikTok clip with a few thousand views. I clicked it, and everything stopped. It was a short video, maybe 30 seconds. Someone had recorded part of a bridal shower game, those cheesy rapid-fire Q&A things where the bride answers on the spot. The bridesmaid off camera asked, "If you could change one thing about your future right now, what would it be?" Emily didn't even blink. She laughed, loud and clear, and said, "Honestly, that house. I feel like I'm living in a Pinterest board from 2009 built by someone's broke uncle." Laughter, real laughter, from the whole room. No one looked uncomfortable. No one pushed back. One bridesmaid yelled, "Girl, you're so bad." Emily fanned her face like she was embarrassed, but she smiled through it all. My stomach sank so fast I thought I'd be sick. I watched it 5 times. Tried to convince myself it was edited wrong, taken out of context, a misunderstanding. But there was no mistaking the tone in her voice or how easily the words came out of her mouth. She mocked the place I had built with my hands, the home I thought she'd loved, the life I'd tried to share with her. And she made it a punchline. That night I didn't sleep. I just laid there, watching that video play on loop. Her laughter echoed louder with every replay. She made me feel like a joke. And in front of the world, she let everyone laugh. By morning, the video had crossed 40,000 views. People in the comments were brutal, half calling her out, the other half laughing along. One user wrote, "If she hates his house now, imagine what she'll say once they're married." Another said, "Run, dude. That's not love. That's contempt." I didn't know how to process any of it. I sat at the kitchen table, phone in hand, heart racing like I'd just been hit by a truck. I didn't care about the internet. I cared that the woman I was about to marry looked me in the eye every day, and still thought so little of me behind my back. When Emily came home that evening, I showed her the video, didn't even say a word. She watched it, raised an eyebrow, then casually handed my phone back. "It was a joke," she said. "People take things too seriously online." I blinked. "You called our home, a house I inherited from my grandfather, a joke, in front of your friends, on camera." She shrugged. "It's not that deep. God, why are you being so sensitive?" That hit harder than I expected, because it wasn't just about the house. It was about everything it stood for, my roots, my values, my effort, and the fact that she couldn't even say, "I'm sorry," that told me everything. I asked her if she meant what she said. She hesitated, just long enough to confirm what I already knew, then said, "It's not like I said I hated you." I laughed, just once. a short, bitter thing that came from somewhere hollow. I looked at her and said, "You didn't have to." I got the message loud and clear. But I didn't walk away, not yet, because part of me still hoped she'd prove me wrong. It's funny what your memory decides to bring up when you're heartbroken. That night, after Emily dismissed everything like it was harmless banter, I sat in the garage staring at an old drawer filled with dusty paperwork. And that's when I saw it. The prenup draft my lawyer had prepared 6 months earlier. I remembered the day I first brought it up. We were eating Thai food in the living room, sharing spring rolls and talking about honeymoon destinations. I said, as gently as I could, "Hey, I think we should put together a prenup. Just something basic to protect the house, the business account, stuff like that." Her face fell instantly. "Are you kidding?" she snapped. "I would never take anything from you. You really don't trust me." I backed off. Of course I did, or at least I wanted to. I told her it was just a formality, something smart people did, but she pouted the rest of the night. The next day, she posted a story of us cuddling on the couch with the caption, "No paperwork needed when there's real love." At the time, I laughed. Now, it just made me nauseous. I looked over that draft again, reading every clause like it was a lifeline. Protecting my house, my small carpentry side business, the land my grandfather left me. Why hadn't I pushed for it? Because I didn't want to rock the boat. Because I thought love meant not preparing for the worst. But watching that viral clip again, the way she said, "broke uncle," made me realize she'd always known exactly what she thought of my life. She just waited until she had an audience to say it. That night, I emailed my lawyer with one sentence. "Let's revisit the prenup. Urgently." When word of the video started reaching people we knew, the reactions came fast, and none of them made me feel any better. Emily's mom was the first to call. "She's under a lot of pressure," she said coolly. "You know how bridal showers are. People get silly, don't throw away a good woman over one joke." One joke. That phrase would haunt me for days. Like my entire life was a sitcom and I'd miss the punchline. Then came the bridesmaids. A couple of them messaged me privately. Half apologies wrapped in guilt-flavored icing. "She didn't mean it like that," one wrote. "You know she loves you, right?" Another said, "Don't ruin the vibe. The wedding's so close." Funny how they cared more about the vibe than the man getting publicly humiliated. Even mutual friends started weighing in. "You guys are solid. Don't let TikTok trolls tear you apart." Or, "Every couple has cringy moments. It's just yours went viral." But no one asked me how I felt. What it was like to see the woman I loved trash the home I built like it was disposable. What it meant to have my roots mocked in front of strangers. Then my mom called. She had seen the video too, but she didn't try to minimize anything. She just said, "Honey, I watched it once, and I couldn't sleep. That girl doesn't sound proud of you." That broke me more than anything else. Because in all the noise, all the spin, my mom was the only one who cut through the chaos and spoke the truth. And that's when something inside me clicked. I didn't want to be married to someone who saw me as a stepping stone. I wanted a partner who stood beside me, not someone who looked down on where I stood. I hadn't said it out loud yet, but I was already planning the end. I waited until we were alone. No distractions, no bridal planners, no champagne-fueled girls' nights. Just her and me in the living room of the very house she'd mocked. She was scrolling through Pinterest on her iPad, looking at floral arrangements for centerpieces. I watched her for a moment, feet tucked under a blanket, hair in a loose bun, soft music playing in the background. and I wondered how someone could look so peaceful while tearing someone else's peace apart. I reached into the drawer of the coffee table and pulled out the velvet ring box. "Emily," I said. She looked up, absent-mindedly smiling. "You can give this back now." Her smile cracked like cheap porcelain. "What?" She laughed nervously. "Stop joking." "I'm not joking," I said. "I'm canceling the wedding. The venue, the caterer, the DJ, everything. It's done." She stared at me like I'd just spoken a foreign language. "Is this about the video again?" she snapped. "God, you're really dragging this out." "No," I said, standing up. "It's about everything. The video was just the part I couldn't ignore anymore." She tried to argue, threw out words like overreacting and emotional sabotage. She cried, begged, even accused me of humiliating her by backing out this late. But I didn't yell. I didn't break down. I just said, "You made fun of the life I built. Now you can figure out how to build your own." The room went quiet. For the first time in our relationship, I watched her realize I meant it. And in that silence, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks: clarity. I wasn't just taking back a ring, I was taking back my dignity. It should have been simple. She didn't own the house. Her name wasn't on the deed. We weren't legally married. I thought once I canceled the wedding and took the ring back, she'd leave quietly, maybe with a few tears and some dramatic goodbye. But if I'd learned anything about Emily, it was this: she only knew how to leave when everyone was watching. She stayed another week, claiming she needed time to gather her things. But instead, she moped around like a grieving widow, wearing my sweatshirts, crying on the porch swing she once mocked, making sure any mutual friends who dropped by saw her at her most pitiful. She posted cryptic Instagram stories, black and white selfies with sad song lyrics, a photo of a single wine glass with the caption, "Some people don't know how to love real women." I ignored it. I had nothing to prove. I just wanted my house and my life back. Then came the texts. One from a mutual friend. "Hey, I heard you kicked Emily out. She says you blindsided her." Another from her cousin. "Wow, man. Didn't expect you to go full villain." I didn't respond. I didn't defend myself. Because I had proof: the video, the texts, the night she justified. It all with a shrug. Still, it hurt. Not the breakup. That part felt like healing. What hurt was the performance. The way she played victim while knowing full well what she'd done. The way she weaponized people who only knew the polished version of us. But I stayed silent. I let her spin her story while I boxed up the last of her things. And when she finally pulled out of the driveway, her car loaded with designer bags and petty bitterness, I didn't watch her go. I closed the door behind her, exhaled, and felt the house breathe with me. I thought I'd seen the worst of it. Turns out I was just getting started. 2 weeks after Emily moved out, I got a letter in the mail from a law firm with gold-embossed lettering and a name that sounded like it belonged in a courtroom drama. At first, I thought it was wedding-related, maybe something about vendor refunds or contracts we forgot to cancel. But no, it was a demand letter from her father's attorney. They were accusing me of emotional distress, of abandoning Emily just weeks before the wedding, of causing defamation and irreparable harm to her social and financial standing. They even threw in a claim that I owed them reimbursement for the bridal shower venue, despite the fact that I had no say in any of it. And the cherry on top? They were calling my act of canceling the wedding premeditated humiliation. I stared at the paper, jaw slack, heart pounding. For a few minutes, I actually doubted myself. Had I done something wrong? Was there some clause, some forgotten piece of paper that gave them leverage? Then I remembered who I was dealing with. I called my lawyer immediately, sent him the video clip, screenshots of texts, even the prenup draft and the email I'd sent weeks earlier asking to revisit it. He barely got through half of it before saying, "You're fine. This is bluster. They're trying to scare you." He was right. Within a week, they dropped everything. No lawsuit, no further threats. But the damage wasn't legal. It was emotional. Her parents, who once toasted me at our engagement dinner and called me salt of the earth, had tried to bury me to protect their daughter's image. That's when I knew. It was never about love. It was about legacy, optics, and control. And I was done playing their game. When you go through something like this, you think the worst part is the betrayal. But no one warns you about the silence that follows. The way people vanish when choosing sides feels too inconvenient. Some friends went ghost. I'd text, no response. Call, straight to voicemail. These were people I'd helped move, lent money to, celebrated birthdays with. But now, I was radioactive. Being neutral, I guess, was more comfortable than being loyal. Others took the easy route, trying to play both sides. I got texts like, "I hope you and Emily both find peace." Or, "It's such a sad situation. No one wins." They acted like this was just some mutual heartbreak. Like I hadn't been publicly humiliated and then sued for good measure. But then, there were a few who shocked me in the best way. Mark, my old college roommate, called out of the blue. "Bro, I saw the video. I'm fucking livid for you. That wasn't a joke. That was venom." We talked for 2 hours. Even more surprising, one of Emily's own bridesmaids messaged me on Instagram. "I just wanted to say, you did the right thing. That clip made me sick. I'm sorry I laughed. I shouldn't have." I didn't expect that, but it meant something. It reminded me that real people, real friends, don't stay silent when it's uncomfortable. They speak up, they show up. So I started trimming the fat. Deleted contacts, unfollowed people, muted the noise. My circle shrank. But the people left in it, they were solid. They didn't see my house as broke uncle vibes. They saw it as a home, my home. And I was starting to remember that it wasn't me who needed fixing. It was the story I'd been telling myself about who deserved to be in my life. It had been just over a month since she left. No calls, no texts, just her curated life on social media. Selfies with cryptic captions, group shots with cocktails and forced laughter, like she was determined to prove she was thriving. I stayed quiet. I didn't watch her stories, didn't check her profile. I was busy living. Then one night, out of nowhere, I got a text. "Hey, can we talk?" My chest tightened. I stared at the screen for a while. My first instinct was to delete it, block her, move on. But curiosity got the better of me. I replied, "What do you want to talk about?" We met at a neutral spot, an outdoor coffee shop we used to go to before all of this. She wore sunglasses even though it was cloudy, and her voice had that tremble I hadn't heard in months. She apologized, said she'd been overwhelmed, pressured, confused. She told me her parents were furious that I'd embarrassed the family, and that she'd been crashing at a friend's place because things at home weren't exactly welcoming anymore. Then she said the words that made my blood go cold. "Can I come stay at the house for a little while? Just until I figure things out?" I looked her dead in the eye and said, "You mean the house built by someone's broke uncle?" She flinched. "No," I said, standing up. "You made it clear what you think of that house. Now it's my piece. You don't get to come back just because life got hard." She said something, maybe tried to plead, but I didn't stay to hear it. I walked away feeling light, lighter than I had in years, because for the first time, I wasn't trying to rescue someone. I was protecting myself. You'd think after a moment like that, after standing up for yourself, after finally saying no, you'd feel invincible. But that's not how healing works. The first few days after that coffee shop meeting, I felt a strange kind of high, like I'd finally slammed the door shut on something toxic. I started sleeping better, cooking more, fixing up the porch swing again like a ritual. But slowly, the quiet got too loud. I started questioning myself. Was I too harsh? Did I overreact? Maybe she really was just overwhelmed. Maybe I should have forgiven her. I'd go back and re-watch that clip, trying to convince myself it wasn't that bad. I stared at old pictures, zoomed in on the way she used to look at me. Was that love? Was any of it real? Grief hits in waves, and mine came hard. I stopped answering texts. I avoided friends. My appetite disappeared. I spent hours just sitting in the garage, staring at my toolbox, remembering how excited I used to be to show her my projects. All those nights she used to bring me lemonade while I worked. All those lies I mistook for support. One night, I broke down completely, curled up in bed, pillow over my face, sobbing like a kid. Not because I wanted her back, but because I hated that someone I loved so deeply could treat me like I was disposable. I didn't want her back. I just wanted the version of her I believed in to be real. That was the night I realized I wasn't crying over her. I was mourning who I had to become to survive her. And that's when the real healing began. It didn't happen all at once. Healing came in small, uneven pieces, like patches of sunlight on a cold floor, there, then gone, then back again. I started with what I knew, my hands. I took on a new woodworking project, refinishing the backyard deck I'd been putting off for over a year. It wasn't just about sanding planks or staining wood. It was about reclaiming something, making my home mine again. Every nail I hammered felt like closure. I repainted the walls in the hallway, replaced the photos she was in with snapshots of sunsets, my dog, even an old black and white of my grandfather's standing proud in front of this very house. I went through closets, boxed up every trace of her. Some things I donated, others I just threw away. And each time I did, the air felt a little cleaner. I invited friends over again, real ones. We grilled in the backyard, played cards on the porch swing, laughed until midnight without worrying about what was aesthetic or elegant. One of them said, "Man, this place feels different now, warmer." That stuck with me. I even started dating again, carefully, slowly, no grand declarations, just coffee, conversation, honesty. I wasn't looking to replace anyone. I was just learning how to show up as myself again, without apologizing for it. For the first time in a long time, I could breathe without wondering if someone was holding their breath next to me, waiting to change everything about me. My house had changed, yes, but more importantly, I had changed. And this time, I was building something not for approval, not for love, but for peace. I didn't post much online during the breakup. Didn't make cryptic statements, didn't play the victim, didn't try to control the narrative. But over time, I started sharing again. Not for attention, but because it felt good to show the world that life didn't end with a broken engagement. Just simple things. Me staining the deck, hosting a small BBQ, walking my dog under golden trees in fall. No captions with hidden meaning, just snapshots of peace. That's when she reappeared, digitally anyway. I noticed her name at the top of the viewed by list. Stories, reels, even a post I made about finishing a bookshelf. At first, I ignored it. But then I got the DM. "You look happy. I didn't know you had this in you." It hit me like a whisper from a stranger wearing a familiar face. There was no apology, no humility, just that sentence. Half compliment, half regret. I stared at it for a while, not angry, not tempted, just still. Because what do you even say to someone who only sees your worth after they've already tried to reduce it to a joke? I didn't reply. I didn't need to. She had her answer. She saw it in every post, every corner of the home she once mocked, every smile that didn't include her anymore. She wasn't part of the story now. She was a viewer. And honestly, that was enough for me. Some people don't deserve a front row seat to your growth. Sometimes all they get is a glimpse through the glass. Today, my house feels different. Not because I added anything new, but because I removed everything that made me feel small. The walls hold peace now, not pressure. The kitchen smells like fresh coffee and sawdust from whatever project I'm working on next. I still sit on that porch swing, the one she once mocked, and I look at it like an old friend that never judged me. People ask if I regret it, calling off the wedding, walking away from someone I once loved so deeply. Not for a second. Because I didn't just dodge a marriage that would have drained me, I reclaimed the version of myself I almost lost trying to be enough for someone who never deserved me. I kept the ring. Not out of sentiment, but as a reminder. It sits in the drawer next to my grandfather's watch. 2 symbols from 2 different men. One built a life with his hands. The other almost gave it away to someone who saw him as a punchline. I don't date to fill space anymore. I don't twist myself into versions that fit someone else's expectations. I speak up early. I walk away quicker. I hold my own hand before offering it to anyone else. And if the price of all this clarity was one canceled wedding, then let it be known that ring wasn't wasted. It bought me back my peace. She lost a wedding, I found my worth, and I'd choose that trade every single time.